What if the secret to true happiness isn't youth, but age? Welcome to Elder Secrets, where wisdom, not wrinkles, defines the story. In today's episode, we uncover why grandparents just might be the happiest Americans alive. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something really interesting. It's this consistent finding in research that grandparents, they rank among the happiest groups in America.
It really is striking. And not just anecdotes, the big surveys, the long-term studies, they all point the same way.
Exactly. So our mission today is to kind of unpack why. Why is becoming a grandparent often this, peak happiness moment?
We'll be digging into the psychology, the biology, social dynamics, even a bit of the economics behind it.
And the key thing for you listening is, what can we all learn? Even if you don't have grandkids, maybe never plan to, these insights tell us a lot about, human flourishing.
Yeah.
What makes life good?
That's the core of it.
Okay, so let's dive into the data first, because it really does show this unique happiness peak.
Yeah, you look at major studies like the University of Michigan's Health and Retirement Study tracking people for decades.
Right.
Grandparents consistently report higher life satisfaction.
Yeah.
Higher than peers who aren't grandparents.
And it's not just that one study, right? The general social survey showed similar stuff.
Similar patterns. And what's really important, I think, is that researchers have tried to pick this apart.
They've controlled for other factors.
Exactly. Things like age, health, income, whether someone's married. You control for all that, and this grandparent advantage, it still holds up. It persists.
So it's not just being older and retired with more free time?
No, there's something specific about the grandparent role itself.
And it's more than just people saying they're happy, isn't it?
It is. That's what's really fascinating. Work by Dr. Sarah Moorman and others, they've found measurable biological changes.
Like what?
Well, changes in stress hormones lower cortisol, for instance, and shifts in brain chemistry that indicate, greater actual well-being. They're not just reporting it. Their bodies show it.
Wow. And you mentioned the difference is significant.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, the happiness boost is roughly comparable to, say, the difference between someone who exercises regularly and someone who doesn't.
Okay, that's substantial.
Or the difference between being in a stable marriage versus being single. It's on that scale. A really powerful, quantifiable impact.
That really hammers it home. So the big question then is, why? What is it about being a grandparent that triggers this profound shift?
It seems to be this perfect storm of factors coming together. Let's start with the psychological side.
Right.
There's this idea called the generative paradox. Historically, grandparents were vital for survival, right? Childcare, knowledge, culture.
Absolutely essential.
But now, even though they often live separately, maybe aren't needed in the same practical way, this incredibly powerful, renewed sense of purpose emerges, often even stronger than when they were raising their own kids.
That's interesting. It's like that Erickson idea of generativity, wanting to guide the next generation.
It's exactly like that. But for grandparents, it seems purer somehow.
Purer.
Well, they get to focus on the nurturing, the connection, without all the day-to-day grind, the schedules, the discipline battles, the constant management.
Right, the hard parts of parenting.
Yeah. So it becomes much more about pure positive interaction. Time spent is really focused on enjoyment, on bonding.
And does that show up in the brain?
It does. Research from Oxford, for example, found more activity in brain areas linked to empathy, emotional reward, cognitive stimulation when grandparents hang out with their grandkids.
So their brains are literally lighting up with joy.
You could put it that way, yeah. It's like they're wired for that kind of positive engagement.
And there's more to it psychologically.
Yeah.
Something about looking back.
Definitely. For many, it feels like a do-over opportunity, a chance to engage with kids from a different place.
With more wisdom, maybe. More patience.
Exactly. More wisdom, patience, emotional availability, without all the anxieties they might have had as younger parents about money or their career or just figuring out who they were.
That makes sense. It sounds potentially quite healing.
It often is. It can lead to what researchers call a resolution of parental regret. Most parents have things they wish they'd done differently.
Sure, that's natural.
Grandparenthood offers this chance for, a kind of redemption. Seeing their own kids parenting successfully can feel validating.
Like, okay, I did all right after all.
Precisely. And simply interacting lovingly with grandchildren can help heal some of those old wounds or regrets from their own parenting journey. Dr. Carl Pillemer calls it legacy validation.
Legacy validation. I like that. Seeing your kids become good parents confirms your efforts.
Exactly. It affirms that you raised good people who are now doing the same. It's deeply satisfying.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about the biology? You mentioned the grandmother hypothesis.
Right. This is really intriguing from an evolutionary standpoint. Why do human females live so long past their reproductive years? It's quite rare in the animal kingdom.
It is, isn't it?
The hypothesis suggests that having grandmothers around provided a big survival advantage. They helped with food, childcare, passing on crucial knowledge, essentially helping their daughters raise more offspring successfully.
So evolution favored longer lifespans for women because grandmothers were so helpful.
That's the idea. And this long evolutionary history might have left us with a sort of grandparent-specific neurochemistry.
Okay, what does that mean in practice? Hormones.
Hormones are a big part of it. When grandparents interact with grandchildren, you see this flood of oxytocin.
The love hormone.
That's the one. And what's really interesting is some studies suggest this oxytocin release might be even more sustained, more intense than in parents.
Why would that be?
Possibly because the interaction is pure bonding, less diluted by the stress and constant demands of primary caregiving.
Makes sense. Less stress.
Yeah.
So lower cortisol, too.
Measurably lower cortisol, yes,
Really?
which we know is good for physical health, potentially even longevity.
So it's good for the body as well as the mind.
And it doesn't stop there. The brain itself changes. There's this concept of intergenerational neuroplasticity.
Keeping the brain young.
Essentially, yes. Engaging with kids, the playing, the teaching, the unpredictability, it's a powerful workout for the brain. It helps form new neural connections.
Any evidence for that?
Some research suggests grandparents who regularly care for grandkids show brain tissue that looks measurably younger than their peers who don't. The cognitive demands literally help keep their brains agile.
That's incredible. Just playing with the grandkids is like brain training.
In a very real sense, yes.
Okay, so we got psychology, biology.
Mm-hmm.
What about the social side? How does the role itself shape happiness?
Socially, grandparents occupy this really unique space. They often get to be pure relationship figures.
What do you mean?
Meaning their interactions are overwhelmingly positive. Think about it. Fewer obligations, less judgment, fewer competing interests compared to, say, relationships with spouses or even adult children sometimes.
It's mostly just about love and enjoyment.
A lot of the time, yes. This pure positive attachment, as researchers call it, is incredibly rare in adult life, and it's a powerful buffer against things like depression, anxiety, loneliness. The Gerontological Society of America has tons of research on this.
And they often take on that role
Yeah.
of the family storyteller.
The family historians, the wisdom keepers, yes, remembering the stories, passing down traditions, sharing lessons learned. That role itself is deeply satisfying. Studies confirm higher life satisfaction for those who actively embrace it.
Okay, and what about seeing the grandkids succeed?
Ah, yes, the vicarious achievement effect. This is key.
Vicarious achievement.
They get all the pride and joy from their grandchildren's accomplishments, learning to read, hitting a home run, whatever it is, but without the intense pressure and anxiety that parents often feel.
Right, parents are invested in a different, more stressed way sometimes.
Exactly. So for grandparents, it's often just pure, uncomplicated positive emotions. These really positive emotional moments or affective peaks, they stick with you.
All the joy, much less of the worry. Sounds like a good deal.
It really can be.
This seems to connect to something deeper, too.
Hmm.
Maybe easing fears about, well, the end of life.
Absolutely. Mortality anxiety is a real thing as people age. Grandparenthood offers a powerful antidote through what's called generative immortality.
Generative immortality.
Yeah.
Like your legacy continues.
Precisely. The feeling that a part of you, your values, your stories, your love will live on through your descendants. It's a sense of continuity beyond your own lifespan.
That sounds incredibly meaningful.
It is. Research on generative narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about contributing to the future, shows it links to more resilience, less depression, better health, and a feeling of life completion.
It gives life meaning, in a way, like Viktor Frankl talked about.
Very much so. Grandparenthood often provides a clearer sense of purpose, maybe with a perspective that's hard to grasp when you're in the thick of parenting. Those moments of awe, of connection with grandkids, feel transcendent, linking you to something bigger.
That's beautiful. Let's talk about freedom, too. There seems to be a unique kind of freedom that comes with being a grandparent.
There really is. They often hit this sweet spot.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, a balance. Freedom from the primary day-to-day responsibility for kids, often more financial resources than when they were younger, and this deeply meaningful way to engage.
It's like selective engagement.
That's a great way to put it. They can often choose to participate in the most rewarding parts of being around kids and skip most of the stressful bits. Someone from AARP apparently said it's like having dessert without making the whole meal.
Huh. I like that. And maybe less pressure overall.
Definitely less societal pressure, less need to achieve, compete. It frees them up to just be. To be silly, enjoy simple things, focus on relationships. This fits perfectly with Laura Carstenson's socio-emotional selectivity theory, prioritizing positive emotional experiences as we age.
And they get to share their wisdom too, right? Which must feel good.
Immensely satisfying. Sharing accumulated life wisdom lessons about kindness, resilience, whatever it is, and seeing it valued by younger generations purely out of love. That's powerful.
Okay, you also mentioned grandparent activation. What's that about? Does becoming a grandparent change behavior?
Often, yes. We see positive behavioral shifts. Many get more health conscious.
Why? To stick around longer.
Exactly. Motivated to be there for the grandkids' milestones. Dr. Esme Fuller-Thompson's work touches on this. They might also become more socially engaged new friends through grandkids' activities, maybe joining grandparent groups.
And sometimes broader protective instincts kick in.
Yeah, extending that nurturing impulse to the community, getting involved in things that benefit kids in general. And tied to this is emotional regulation.
How so?
Well, interactions with kids naturally bring positive emotions. A child's laugh is contagious, right? Thanks to mirror neurons. It grounds you in the present, pulls you away from negative thoughts.
And they want to be a positive influence, so they manage their own emotions better.
Precisely. It leads to what Dr. Susan Charles calls optimal emotional competence. They get really good at managing emotions. Plus, seeing the world through a grandchild's eyes. That cognitive reappraisal. It helps them rediscover wonder, appreciate simple things again. That's linked to better mental health.
Okay, now for something maybe less obvious. Economics.
Yeah.
How does money play into grandparent happiness?
It's not just having money, but how it's used. There's this generative spending satisfaction.
Meaning the joy of giving to grandkids.
Yes, being able to provide things, maybe music lessons, help with a trip, even just treats in ways they couldn't afford for their own kids earlier, that feels really good.
Like that research on pro-social spending. Happier spending on others.
Exactly that research by Elizabeth Dunn and others. Spending on others brings more lasting joy. And if they're financially secure, they can be generous without anxiety. That's consumption smoothing satisfaction. Often this means experience gifting.
Buying experiences instead of stuff.
Right. Investing in shared trips, outings, adventures, which we know create more durable happiness than material things.
Let's go even deeper now into the brain scans. What are they showing?
This is where it gets really specific. fMRI studies, like those by Dr. James Rilling at Emory, show intense activity when grandparents look at photos of their grandkids.
In which parts of the brain?
Areas linked to emotional empathy, cognitive empathy, understanding their feelings, and crucially, reward processing.
And you said this pattern is different from parents.
Yes, that's the key distinction. Parents often show more activity in areas related to vigilance, protection, worry. Grandparents' brains seem more purely wired for the joy and connection, less for the anxiety.
Fascinating. Less worry, more joy.
Seems that way. Plus, heightened mirror neuron activity during play and affection leading to that emotional synchrony we talked about. And some studies even suggest structural changes.
Like more gray matter.
Increased gray matter density, potentially, in those empathy and emotional processing regions. The brain is physically adapting to enhance well-being through these relationships.
So the brain is literally reshaping itself around this positive experience.
And that ties back to the intergenerational brain plasticities. Spending time with kids, especially in cognitively stimulating ways, boosts learning, memory, emotional resilience. It's healthy brain aging in action.
Okay, let's pull back again. How does modern life, our culture, shape this?
Well, a big shift is from necessity to choice. Historically, grandparenting was often about survival needs. Now, for many, it's choice-based.
They choose how involved they want to be.
Right, which leads to this pure relationship grandparenting focused almost entirely on the emotional bond, not economic or practical necessity.
And people are living longer, healthier lives too.
Huge factor. Modern longevity means grandparents might have decades to build really deep, evolving relationships with grandkids. That's unprecedented historically. Andrew Sherlin calls it relationship optimization.
And maybe in a culture like the U.S., focused on individualism, this kind of unconditional, nurturing relationship feels extra special.
I think that's very possible. It offers a welcome counterbalance, a shift towards connection and care.
Does spirituality come into play here at all?
For many, yes. Grandparents often describe their love for grandchildren as transcendent.
Transcendent.
Larger, more meaningful than other kinds of love, maybe feeling connected to something divine or cosmic. Kenneth Parkman talks about this kind of sacred meaning making.
Finding spiritual meaning in the connection itself.
Yes, or through legacy spirituality, passing on values, wisdom, maybe sharing moments of wonder, like looking at the stars together. It connects to Gero transcendence, too.
Which is?
Dr. Lars Tornstam's idea that as people age, some shift towards more cosmic, less materialistic views. Grandchildren can often be catalysts for that deeper perspective shift.
It sounds like being a grandparent also builds resilience.
It really seems to. Studies show they maintain well-being quite well despite aging challenges. Grandkids provide meaning-based coping resources.
Like motivation.
Motivation to stay healthy, stick to treatments. They want to be there. Richard Schultz calls it tapping into existential resources that buffer against despair.
And being that stable figure of the family must feel good too.
Definitely. Being the family stabilizer during tough times, offering wisdom and support that's deeply satisfying, it builds multi-generational efficacy, confidence in making a positive difference across generations.
Does it help their social lives too? Combat loneliness?
Oh, significantly. They often develop expanded social networks connecting with other grandparents at school events, parks, activities. It combats isolation.
And improves relationships with their own kids.
Often, yes. The shared focus on the grandchild can bring parents and grandparents closer, create new appreciation. It can be a family relationship renewal. Grandkids are great social facilitators, too.
How so?
They just naturally connect people. They provide conversation starters, reasons to interact with neighbors, teachers, other parents. It builds social capital. And we know strong relationships are maybe the key predictor of happiness.
But what about the grandparent's own identity? How does that change?
There's often a really positive identity transformation, shifting away from maybe achievement-focused work roles towards relationship-focused roles. That can bring huge role relief from competitive pressures.
Less pressure, more connection.
And it helps integrate their life story. Peter Coleman talks about identity integration. Grandparenthood helps make sense of the whole journey, seeing it as coherent and meaningful. It fosters a positive aging identity, focusing on contributions, not losses.
That's a much better way to view aging.
Isn't it? And don't forget the learning aspect. It's not just grandparents teaching grandkids.
It goes both ways.
Absolutely. Intergenerational learning. Grandparents share wisdom, sure, but grandkids teach them about technology, pop culture, new ways of seeing things. These reciprocal teaching relationships boost cognitive function, mood, cognitive vitality.
So they're building bridges between generations.
Vital bridges. And technology actually helps here now. Video calls connect distant families. Learning new tech together becomes a bonding activity.
That's a great point. What about energy levels? Sometimes kids seem exhausting.
It's funny, often grandparents report finding new energy, this grandparent activation energy. Yeah, a renewed vitality, motivation to be active with the grandkids. Gene Cohen called these encore periods bursts of creativity and engagement, often sparked by grandchildren.
And maybe seeing the world through their eyes reawakens something.
Exactly, that renewed sense of wonder. Kids help us notice the small marvels again. And research shows awe and wonder are incredibly good for us. Mood lifting, better health, more resilience.
It all seems to tie back to sharing wisdom and leaving a legacy too.
Deeply satisfying. Sharing life lessons, knowing you're passing on important values and skills, that's legacy creation satisfaction. It validates their life experience.
And maybe the most fundamental thing is the love itself.
I think so. The unique, often unconditional love. It's different from parental love, romantic love, often just pure positive regard.
No strings attached.
Largely, yes. And giving that kind of love, research suggests, boosts the giver's well-being too. For some, it's love completion.
Love completion.
A chance to express that pure, unconditional love they always wanted to give, maybe couldn't fully access when they were stressed young parents. It's profoundly healing.
And that ties back to the legacy idea, resolving that anxiety about continuity.
Right. Being actively involved assures them their influence, their values will persist. That generational efficacy leads to less anxiety about death, more life satisfaction. It's symbolic immortality.
Seeing it happen in real time must be amazing.
That living legacy satisfaction, seeing your kindness or curiosity reflected in your grandchild is incredibly powerful. Immediate validation.
So wrapping this all up, what are the big takeaways for everyone listening? The universal lessons here.
I think the first is to prioritize relationships that have that pure positive regard. Focus on connection, enjoyment, acceptance. Less on judgment or obligation. Seek those out, nurture
And
them.
then cultivate generative purpose, right? Contributing to something bigger, mentoring, volunteering, helping the next generation in whatever way feels right for you.
Absolutely. And embrace wonder and playfulness. Try to see the world with fresh eyes sometimes. Find joy in simple things like kids do.
Practice wisdom sharing. We all have things we've learned. Share your stories, your values, create your own small legacies.
Strive for selective engagement. Find that balance between meaningful involvement in things you care about and protecting your own time and energy. It's okay not to do everything.
And definitely foster intergenerational connections. Reach out beyond your own age group. There's so much richness and learning there.
You know, looking at all this, grandparent happiness isn't an accident. It's this amazing convergence of biological wiring, deep psychological needs being met, and unique social roles.
It really addresses some fundamental human quests, doesn't it? The search for meaning, dealing with mortality, healing regrets, the need to matter.
Exactly. And I think the research offers this hopeful roadmap for flourishing across our entire lives. It shows that wisdom and love can deepen with age, that later years can be incredibly joyful and purposeful.
So the final thought for everyone listening, whether you're a grandparent or not, is maybe to take a page from their book.
Yeah. Prioritize those deep, positive relationships. Find joy in simple things. Share what you know. Stay curious. Contribute somehow. It's about slowing down, connecting, and finding that deep satisfaction in loving and in being loved.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope these insights give you something valuable to think about for your own life. Until next time, keep diving deep.